Okay, good evening and welcome to the Winthrop School Committee meeting of Monday, March 8th, 2021. The meeting will be held both live and through Zoom teleconference. Patty, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Barry? Here. Mr. Boncory?
Here.
Mr. Capabianco?
Here.
Mr. Matucci?
Here.
Ms. Swope?
Here.
Powell?
Here.
Mr. Perrin?
Here. The meeting will be recorded and may be televised live. Mr. Capabianco, now that you've returned from your travels, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice
for all.
Patty, do we have any public comment this evening?
No, we do not, but I do have a letter that I need to read into public comment. Oh, and we actually have someone with their hand up. I can do that first. Let me
Yes,
just.
please do live first and then we'll read the rest.
We have Suzanne Carson.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for having me. And the reason I'm calling tonight is just in response to the Winthrop Teachers Association article in the Winthrop transcript this past week. And I'd just like to speak on behalf of Mia More's executive committee that consists of myself, my husband, Jeff Carson, Nicole Ferrara, and Shannon Poulos. Again, this does not include the rest of our board or any of our volunteers. We understand the concerns that teachers have with not having the best possible environment for students to come back to the school as well as many parents, but I'd like to open the lens of the equity spectrum that they mentioned in the article. So as these teachers know, inequity happens across the classroom even before COVID. It is inevitable, unfortunately, but COVID has deepened that divide. Inequity can be described on many different levels. There are basic needs of inequity that have happened over the past year. If the Winthrop Teachers Association is speaking about civil rights and inequities, I'd like to speak about the families that we care for that have been dealing with the deep inequity since the beginning. But before I do, I'd like to explain that the schools and Lisa Howard have done a phenomenal job in helping these families when we brought their situation to light. When the students were remote, many didn't have Chromebooks. Approximately 100 families didn't have internet, primarily because they couldn't pay for utilities. For 1.5 months, these children, 136 students, didn't have access to their education until the jetpacks came in from the schools. These families have struggled with balancing jobs and being home with their children, some losing their jobs, some having to stay home and struggle to pay bills because they have to stay home with their children. Some of these families lost their homes and their apartments with this, had to find new apartments, of which Mia More, the town in Capic, helped them get back on their feet. Some have had to move out of town, unfortunately. These are the basic need inequities that we see. So regarding the underserved children also coming back to the schools and regarding breakfast and lunch, there are many families that can't come to the schools and pick up the food provided. Mia More picks up food twice a week for some of those on our project and delivers to those families. We fear that many of those families, there are many families out there that don't know, that we don't know about, that are struggling with food insecurity and are unable to make it for pickups. Again, just talking about basic needs. With these basic needs of food, shelter, and safety as our main concern for our families, some still lack the additional needs that we take for granted. Some of these children don't have parents to help them learn or make sure they log on. Some of them are English language learners and are absolutely at a disadvantage being home in a remote environment. So some of them all year haven't had the desks and the chairs at home for a suitable learning environment. When the Winthrop Teachers Association speaks of the inequities in lawsuits, I want to highlight that there are severe inequalities happening with the remote and hybrid models since the beginning. And they've been happening all year. Unfortunately, the schools have done everything they can. But I just wanted to point that out in response to that article. Personally, speaking on behalf of myself, I have a daughter in 3rd and a son in 1st, and I'm personally I'm good with them going back to school to navigate those 2 weeks of an interesting transition back to school, because I know in the long run, the kids will be fine and it will be good for the greater population of the children in our schools. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for all you do. Okay, any further public comment live?
Nope, that looks like that is all.
Okay, why don't you read the letter into the record that you're discussing?
Yes, so this is an email sent or letter sent from Karen Chavez, dated today. I am unable to attend tonight's school committee meeting because of a conflict with the council finance committee. I have read the letter to the editor in the Winthrop transcript from the WTA on Thursday, March 18th, 2021. Reading the letter, I could understand where the WTA opinion was coming from, but not necessarily agreeing with each point. All was okay until they addressed the mental health issue of the students. Yes, they deal with the students every day, but in a hybrid model of teaching. They see a student in person 10 to 12 hours a week. The parents see the student 24/7. That is how a parent is able to identify the problem. I don't believe this is a few school committee members pandering a select few. This is school committee members listening to parents and their concerns. Grades K to 5 are returning to full learning 4 days a week and 1.5 days. To include only the seniors is not fair to the other 3 classes at the high school. There are 145 seniors and only 81 returning to school full time. That is 44% choosing to remain fully remote. Possibly the freshman class could be considered versus the seniors. Freshmen have only been in the high school building for 11 weeks. They could use the 2 weeks to better adapt to the high school. There are 142 freshmen, 99 returning, and 43 staying full remote, or 30%. Out of 554 students at Winthrop High School, 210 will remain fully remote, or 38% of student body. Send the entire high school back on April 5th, 2021. The school layout is able to provide a safe environment for 344 returning students. If it is not feasible for middle school students to return until April 26th, then keep them hybrid until all the necessary furnishings are in place. Thank you to all school committee members who want the students back in school full-time. Thank you, Mrs. Howard and her administrative team, for all the work they have done over the last year to continue to educate the kids of Winthrop. But now is the time to return to school full-time for every student who chooses to. What happens in September for the 2021-2022 school year is another subject for another time. And that was Karen Chavez.
Thank you. Any live comment? Any further public comment?
No.
In closing up the public comment, we'll move on to delegates and visitors. Seeing none, we'll move on to the minutes of March 8th, 2021. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of March 8th, 2021?
Approved.
Motion by Ms. Swope. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Capabianco. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Patty, can I have a roll call vote, please, to accept the minutes of March 8th, 2021?
Yes, Ms. Barry? Yes. Mr. Boncory?
Yes.
Mr. Capabianco?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes. Okay, moving on to financial and business procedures. We have warrant SBW 21-16 in the amount of $331,588.38. Can I have a motion for that warrant?
Motion.
For that amount? Motion by Mr. Matucci.
Second.
Second by Mr. Capabianco. Any discussion? Hearing none. Patty, can we get a roll call vote for the record on the warrant?
Yes, Ms. Barry? Yes. Mr. Boncory?
Yes.
Mr. Capabianco?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yeah, abstention. We have a payroll warrant, SPW 21-17, the amount of $740,552.45. Can I get a motion for the payroll warrant in that amount?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Capabianco. Can I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Swope. Any discussion on the payroll? Hearing none. Patty, can I have a roll call vote, please, for the record?
Ms. Barry? Mr. Boncory?
Abstain.
Mr. Capabianco? Mr. Matucci?
Same.
Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Abstention. Okay, do we have any budget transfers this evening, Ms. Eccles?
Not tonight.
Okay, thank you. Buildings and grounds. We have a Winthrop Youth Lacrosse request. Ms. Howard, do we have anything on that? Or-
So maybe we should move first to the, if we could, take it up under the subcommittee, Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee Report, because I think they may go hand in hand, and you can speak to that.
Okay, we'll take that out of order. We were moving on to reports. We have two subcommittee reports this evening. Mr. Matucci, do you have anything for the budget subcommittee?
Yes, at a budget subcommittee a week ago Wednesday, we had in attendance myself, Jen Powell, Lisa, Julie Barry, Sue Eccles, Karen Chavez, and Shannon Poulos. They all zoomed in, myself, Lisa, and Jen were live. Just pretty much a very quick meeting, just to put a timeline on the budget as per the town charter. And we are on, pretty much close to where we're going to be as far as the timeline goes. We also talked a little bit about this year's budget, and as of right now, we are on budget. So everything is good with the budget subcommittee, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matucci. Ms. Powell, can you take us through the Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee report? You're on mute.
Sorry. We met last week as well as the subcommittee. It was myself and Julie Berry representing the school committee. Superintendent Howard brought us through some requests that we have for the field. We talked about how the current policies will do in terms of covering the requests that we have. And at that time, we decided that no changes needed to be made. That is going to be brought up tonight. And we can come back to that. We also discussed a request to name the new playground. That needs to go to the policy subcommittee, because currently our policy is that we do not do namings.
Excellent, thank you.
So in terms of field requests at this point, after speaking with Mr. Serino, we do have one field request for youth lacrosse, and Mr. Serino believes that we could work something out, and Ms. Barry may jump in as well, but that it would not able to provide the same level of service that we did prior to the pandemic at this time. The hope is to be able to resume that this summer or in the fall, hopefully this summer. And what I mean by that is our ability to provide a lot of staff for a different event. So depending upon how big the event is, Mr. Serino reached out to a number of the coaches and the field staff that we have used in the past, and as of right now cannot get commitments from more than one or two people. So we are, in the case that we have the request for, willing to work with youth lacrosse to see if we can get some volunteers, if that's what they would like to do, from their group, to follow the policies that procedures that we have in place. They're pretty strict COVID procedures in terms of capacity, checking people in, how many people can come, and it will to each event. And it would be at this point similar to what we have for our high school sports, which are much larger in total number than a youth like a youth team would be. So we can continue that conversation with folks who want to rent the youth sports. I think one of the biggest pieces of our conversation was around making the field available, the use of the field available, and being able to do that in a manner that was safe and stayed within the guidelines that we have developed for the school district. So there aren't community guidelines for the use of that field. As of right now, there are just school guidelines. So depending upon the size of the venue and whether or not we have the staff or can work out with the requester, having some volunteers be able to follow protocols that we have in place. So Mr. Serino will, if you want to go back to the request for field use, Mr. Serino will take a look at that just to double check the dates. I believe verbally he said that the dates are available because it's a Sunday, and we typically don't have our own athletes on the field on Sundays. So we could circle back around with him. The first Sunday date of request for this particular request is not until the 11th of April, I believe, if that's a Sunday. Certainly when all the paperwork is before us, and because I believe the school committee needs the full packet, am I correct?
I believe that's.
Yeah, so you don't have that full packet, so there'll be time to go through that full packet at the next meeting.
Jim,
Patty, can you be sure to reach out and let them know that it is the next meeting and to have everything in place? Yes, Mr.
we need
Matucci.
to table this. Motion to
You
table.
asking to postpone?
I'm asking the motion to table for the next meeting. You know, given the fact that we have, you know, the pandemic and what's going on over the past year.
Do I have a second on Mr. Matucci's motion to postpone taking action on this until the next scheduled school committee meeting?
Second.
Second by Ms. Powell. Any discussion on that?
What exactly are they missing?
I believe that
All the paperwork, the associated paperwork, so there's a packet.
Oh, so, you know.
There's a packet that has to get filled out,
And then we'll-
and
okay.
that includes the insurance, it includes, the group filled out a portion of the packet, and just the rest of the packet needs to be filled out with the insurance binder and, the payment. However, I think some most conversation just needs to come around whether or not they're willing to do, some of the work that the school can't provide right now because of not having the staff to do it, which I'm sure they will be. But then that comes before the committee for review.
Can we be sure that when we hand these out, as we open up for public use, that whatever the guidelines are from the state and the mandates from the state are also attached to those potentially? Just so that people understand what is expected of them when they are on the field, so that we don't have any misunderstandings.
Yes, we have a full COVID
Yeah.
guideline, and again, it's related to this, it's related to the school specifically and school athletics, but certainly that can be provided.
Yeah, excuse me.
Yes.
I just wanted to confirm too that the EEA changed the rules and regulations around attendance today, so
Yep.
we have to relook at that.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that we really need to keep abreast on what the guidelines are, what the mandates are, because they change. But as we give these out, that we provide them with that information so that they can address it and police their own organization. Any further discussion? Ms. Swope?
This is a little bit off the topic. It's just a question. Are any facilities open to the public, like the track or any outdoor facilities, or are they all closed right now?
They have been closed up to this point, and we're just starting to address these issues as they come in now on a case.
Okay, so I would like to have those addressed as soon as we can. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? Ms. Powell?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that as a subcommittee and just generally that we are supportive of getting the students back on the field. This is not an issue of wanting to hinder or put up any barriers for the youth sports. We are very excited to have those happen. So the administration has done a great deal of work to make sure that we can do this following all of the guidelines and safety issues.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. I think that's important, and I think that having their volunteers available to assist will reduce costs and make it more accessible for their organization. So I think it's the first step. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Can I have a roll call vote, please, on postponing this vote into the next regular meeting date?
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Mr. Boncory?
Yes.
Mr. Capabianco?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Yes,
Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes. Ms. Howard, do you have a superintendent's report for us this evening?
I do. I'm just gonna turn this towards me. I'm assuming that's a better sound system. So first off, I would like to congratulate the advanced drama students. They participated in that's a little low lighting. I think you just have to stand up. The advanced drama students all wrote a 10-minute play as part of the Boston Playwrights Theater, Massachusetts Young Playwrights Project. Congratulations to Luan Aldweed, Kaylin Barry, Cody Bell, Libby Carney, Jenny Delahanty, Declan Donovan, Maya Green, Adriana Hester, Maddie Polino, Corey Powell, Chris Rainey, Chloe Robson, Maddie Tolliver, Audrey Valleys, Heather Buccini, Evan Bernstein, and Rhiannon Moline, all of who are participating. And also, two of our students were winners. So Heather Buccini for Dating the Devil, and Ruan Alweib's was titled Mom. And these will be virtually directed and performed by Boston-based professionals via a webinar
That's
on
great.
this Thursday. So it's
That's
pretty
great.
cool. Yeah. Congratulations to Karen, Belinda, and all of her staff, all the behind-the-scenes people that work on these projects, our drama students, all through and through. They never fail to amaze us. So another great job by them. And then just a quick update on the return. So let me just grab that paperwork. So just a few updates on the return in terms of our timelines. So today we had some furniture delivered, which is exciting. Not all of our furniture, but a portion of it. We had 155 foldable tables and 155 foldable chairs were delivered, and those were for the outdoor spaces at the Cummings and the Gorman Fort Banks. We're still awaiting about another 90 pieces of furniture for outdoor spaces in our other school buildings. Those are expected to be in any day now. On the 22nd, which happens to be tomorrow, the Department of Education's SLT support team is going to be on site here at the middle high school and potentially also touring the Fort Banks and the Cummings school. And their job and goal when they come out is to help you achieve your goals. So one of the issues that we are struggling with a little bit that we hope to get their assistance on is they've been in hundreds of schools over the past year and more so in the past few weeks, classroom configurations of space and design with furniture, whether they're desks, whether they're tables. So they're going to come out and do some work with us around that and also assist us with the additional spaces that we'll be using for meal times, mass breaks, and additional teaching spaces such as the tents and any regular outdoor space that we are going to be using. So the goal of that team is to offer suggestions and support to us for a successful and safe reopening on April 5th. So we are excited to get their viewpoint and see if there's anything that they would suggest to us additionally. That,
What time is that at tomorrow?
so they're coming out to meet, they start with me at 11,
Okay.
and this is, they're meeting with me and the principals of each building. And it is something that we, as an administrative team, requested so that we could make sure we were maximizing all of our space. It is not something that is open to the public or for
School committee members?
parents. They've asked that it just be the school administration and my return to school team. I'm sure they'll be available for any member of the school committee for follow-up. And I can ask them if there are questions that you have, I can certainly submit that to them. So that will be happening tomorrow. We have some adjusted dates on delivery for the desks and tables at the Fort and the Cummings. We expected those on March 31st. I was made aware today that the Fort Banks furniture will be coming on the 2nd, and they will start to put it together on the 2nd in the space that we're providing them with, which is the multi-purpose room. They will let me know tomorrow about the Cummings school desks and additional chairs that they are providing for the classrooms and the cafeteria spaces. So I'm hoping that they're either on the same truck or close behind. Let's see what else. And in terms of dates, our other dates have not changed yet. We continue to work closely with the vendors that are delivering the 650 desks to the middle school and the 200 desks to the high school. So we are anticipating a date from them. They originally gave us the dates of the 5th through the 8th, I believe, to have those delivered. We are calling them every day, asking them to move a little quicker. We're also continuing to work with different vendors around moving. We're going to be removing close to 420, I believe, off the top of my head, double two-person tables. 340 of them, I believe, are out of the middle school and the rest out of the high school. Those need to be moved out, as we talked about before, to make way for these new items that are coming. I'll continue to update the committee on those changes and those expected delivery dates as we check each day. And in terms of the school facility, that is all I have to report right now. I hope to have more to report by the middle of the week. And that is all I have for tonight.
Okay, moving on to personnel. Ms. Howard, do we have any appointments, resignations, retirements, postings, or leaves of absence?
Yes, so we have postings, and I want to get back into my packet so that I can read those to you. So we have an English language arts teacher at Winthrop Middle School for the 21-22 school year, based on somebody who was on a leave of absence, who has chosen not to return. The deadline to let us know of that was the beginning of March. So we've heard from that person, so we would like to post that position to be ready for the fall. We have posting for a sailing coach, and if you know of anyone who wants to do that, they can reach out to Mr. Serino. We are posting for a long-term substitute 4th grade teacher for the remainder of this school year at the Cummings school. We are also looking for 2 grade level teachers at the Fort Bank school, and those grade level teachers would be for the short term for this school year for 1st and 2nd grade, and that is a result of the amount of kids coming back to school and the cohorts of students we have. So again, this is a temporary position for the remainder of this school year as we return. We did as much moving around of positions as we could, and this is to assist us with the overflow. We have been interviewing people for temporary positions throughout the year, so we do have some candidates for those positions already. And also at the elementary level, we are seeking 3 ESPs, and those are student support staff. And again, we have folks who are interested, but if there's other folks out there in the community that would like to work as an ESP in the district, please contact us. Again, we've had it out there. We do have some candidates, but we're always looking for more. So feel free to give us a shout, and that's on School Spring and posted internally as well. And that is it at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. We appreciate that. New business is school choice. We have an anticipated vote. Ms. Howard, can you bring us through the school choice so people at home will understand it?
Sure. So school choice, every year, public schools in the state of Massachusetts do have to determine whether or not they would like to participate in school choice or not. So school choice allows the committee and to determine whether or not we have enough space in our school district. Kind of an odd time to be talking about this, but enough space, enough desks and chairs, which seem to be the topic of every conversation. And this would be for next school year, to allow the students who live in other communities to come to school here in Winthrop. It can be at any grade level. It can be at some grade levels and not all. And once we agree to a grade level, say if you decided you were going to do it in grade 5, those students become entitled to stay within your community through high school. So in the past, we had school choice for our high school students. I believe it was somewhere around the time we were building the new school, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, or even maybe a little longer, that the district, I was not here at that time, but I believe the district was feeling that they were at capacity with the number of students that they had or close thereto, and that school choice in and of itself was not as beneficial as it was once in the past. So for each school choice student the school district takes in, that sending community does not get their an allotment of money for their students that they would have otherwise received. And the receiving community, which would be us if we chose school choice, would get $5,000 per student for the full year, which is about $8,000 and change less than the yearly per pupil expenditure. But as everybody knows, the yearly per pupil expenditure is a number that is woefully beneath what you actually do spend on children per school year. So that's sort of a snapshot of school choice, and that's sort of the definition of it. And then I will turn it back to you if you have any other questions.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept or deny school choice for the coming academic year.
Motion to deny.
Do I have a second on Mr. Martucci's motion to deny school choice for the next academic year?
Second.
Second by Ms. Barry. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Patty, can I have a roll call vote on that motion to deny school choice for the next academic year?
Ms. Barry,
Yes on the motion to deny.
Mr. Boncory,
Yes for next year.
Mr. Capabianco,
No.
Mr. Martucci,
Yes.
Ms. Swope,
Yes.
Ms. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Perrin.
Yes. Okay, we have no unfinished business. Can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Martucci. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Capabianco. Can I have a roll call vote, please, Patty?
Ms. Barry,
Yes.
Mr. Boncory,
Yes.
Mr. Capabianco,
Yes.
Mr. Martucci,
Yes.
Ms. Swope,
Yes.
Ms. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Perrin.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
No.
Good night, all. Be safe.
You as well.